If Senzo Tanaka is his Shidoshi, then show us the dim mak.
What the hell is a dim mak?
Death touch.
Let's go!
You're listening to the Cage Nation TV Prizefight Podcast. Coming to you from the Candid Cameron Studios in State College, Pennsylvania. Here's your host, Albert Cameron.
Well, happy Friday, fight fans. I'm your host, Mr. Albert Cameron, and thank you very much for joining me for the Prizefight Podcast. Of course, Friday does mean the Prizefight Podcast, but it's also the Friday 5 over at CageNationTV.com, where we counted down the 5 reasons why Shooto really wasn't MMA back in the day. Of course, by today's standards, well, it's as close as MMA as Japan can get by the rule standards, but you want to check that out. Today on the Prizefight Podcast, we're going to talk about Mark Cherico's King of the Cage fight, Adrien Broner facing a whole host of legal issues leading up to his fight with Ashley Theophane. BJ Penn is back on track for a featherweight title hunt, and Manny Pacquiao is retiring. But first, we're going to talk about the big news out of the Gladiators of the Cage camp this week. Joey the Hitman Holt draws a new opponent for Gladiators of the Cage in June at Stage AE. Joey the Hitman Holt, of course, was supposed to be fighting Justin Fast Eddie Edwards at the St. Patrick's Day fight card. Edwards ended up being hospitalized from dehydration weight cut. You could use the opportunity to make the argument that dehydration weight cuts are so ridiculously dangerous that they should be outlawed. That's why California is doing it. That's why guys shouldn't be given the opportunity to suck water out of themselves because it damages the kidneys, which is exactly what Edwards was hospitalized for. And it was a disappointment. You could tell by the promoters, the people who worked for Gladiators of the Cage, that they were all thoroughly disappointed. But because there's a clause on the fight poster that says card is subject to change, they weren't really obligated to do anything. At that point, people showed up to Stage AE. Holt versus Edwards was not going to happen. Well, fight card is subject to change. You knew that when you bought your ticket. Sorry. But it didn't go down like that. It absolutely did not go down like that. Robert Joseph, the CEO of Epic Leap Entertainment, which is the parent company of Gladiators of the Cage, he grabbed the mic and he said, "Hey guys, I'm sorry. This was completely out of our control, but we appreciate you guys and the money you spent on our tickets, so here's what we're going to do. If you came here to see any of these guys, the next time they fight, you're going to get a discounted ticket for the June show at Stage AE." He didn't have to do that. No other promoter would have done that. I've seen fight cards boil down to 4 and 3 MMA fights, and the promoter's like, card is subject to change. So Robert Joseph and Gladiators of the Cage really stepped up and said, hey, fan satisfaction is paramount. This is what we're going to do for you guys. Thank you still for coming. We're going to make sure it's worth your while. So, coming into Gladiators of the Cage in June, we're still expecting to hear the announcement that Joey the Hitman Holt will be fighting Justin Fast Eddie Edwards at June 4th in Stage AE for Gladiators of the Cage. Well, was I wrong? And I think I was wrong in a very, very good way. Joey the Hitman Holt now drew Jordan Rinaldi for the lightweight championship at Gladiators of the Cage in June. Jordan Rinaldi tried out for the 15th season of The Ultimate Fighter, actually made it on TV, lost the fight to get into the house, but still, he says he's got UFC credentials. He has fought for World Series of Fighting. More personally and more regionally, Jordan Rinaldi was former welterweight champion for Complete Devastation MMA before Brett Showtime Schoenfeld. Rinaldi captured the gold at Complete Devastation MMA 2 and then went on to try out for the Ultimate Fighter. He went out to try out for World Series of Fighting, and I did the commentary. No, did I? I might have done the commentary. No, I didn't do the commentary. I was there filming the fight, and Jordan Rinaldi is this wiry. He's this ridiculously strong tactician. Like, he's got technical skills. He's got a gas tank. Joey Holt is in for a challenge. Now, Holt can fight. Make no mistake about it, my brothers. Joey Holt can fight, and sisters. Joey Holt can fight, but so can Jordan Rinaldi. Now, again, this is going to be for the Gladiators of the Cage Professional Lightweight Championship, vacated by Rob Hanna. Rob Hanna dropped the title so he could fight at featherweight, and of course, he drew Dominic Mazzata. It wasn't successful, but it's a move in the way he wants to lead his career, and you cannot fault the man for that. Per the conversation with Hanson Jim Ajay, Hanna says that I didn't get to crown the lightweight champion at the St. Patrick's Day card, but I will be back in June to crown the new lightweight champion. According to Gladiators of the Cage, the sources inside, there are still more fights coming up, like big announcements that we need to be looking out for, and you best believe, friends, Cage Nation TV is going to be on the lookout for that. Mark, the pride of Bloomfield Cherico, who we talked to last week, is going to be coming back for King of the Cage. It's of the Cage, but it's King of the Cage, and it was recently announced this week that he's going to be fighting for King of the Cage Gold. Now, you think about title holders who've been title holders for the King of the Cage, of course, Diego the Nightmare Sanchez, Joey Villasenor, Ruben Warpath Villarreal was the super heavyweight champion. Getting a hold of the King of the Cage belt is a big deal. Now, the poster says that King of the Cage, it's for the King of the Cage Bantamweight Championship. King of the Cage has a really, really unique weight class division. King of the Cage has a lot more like a boxing style weight class system. So, according to King of the Cage, their Bantamweight Championship is at 145 weight limit, which is featherweight according to the unified rules. If there was ever any more reason to get to the Meadows Casino to see King of the Cage, it's to see the Pride of Bloomfield, Mark Jericho. He's going to be fighting for King of the Cage gold. On to the world of boxing. A man with the nickname of The Problem is facing legal troubles. The irony is crushing. Prior to his latest fight, Adrien Broner was engaged in a high-stakes bowling match in Cincinnati. Bowling? You know, I get that folks with disposable income like to bet on a couple things. I mean, I don't understand betting on horses, but people do it, and it's a pretty lucrative betting circle. I get that people like playing high-stakes poker. Folks like betting on car races, competing in car races. But high-stakes bowling, I think, is a phrase I never thought I'd hear those words in that combination together, but it happens. It happens. Now, according to eyewitness reports, Adrien Broner lost the game and then confronted the winner in the parking lot trying to reclaim his money. Did he thought he cheated? Did he thought the bet wasn't as going to work out the way for him as he thought? Well, at that point, Broner allegedly, now I need to preface with allegedly, Adrien Broner has not been found guilty by a jury of his peers. According to the United States judicial system, a man is innocent until proven guilty by a jury of his peers. So everything we're reporting here is allegedly. It's alleged. He has not been found guilty yet. Broner allegedly produced a pistol and then punched the bowling winner in the face a couple times, rendering him unconscious and then taking the money out of his pockets. This is according to an eyewitness. But again, it's allegedly. Not found guilty by a jury of his peers. Now, despite the legal issues, Broner was still able to fight Ashley Theophane in Washington, D.C. The fight was not a title fight, as it had been billed, because Broner was not able to make the exact 140-pound weight limit for the Junior Welterweight Championship as determined by the WBA. As we've seen before, the boxing commissions really have little time for guys who can't make weight, and the WBA stripped Adrien Broner of his Junior Welterweight Championship. Now, Broner and Theophane did fight, and Adrien Broner won the bout by technical knockout. Good for him. Maybe he'll learn not to bet on high-stakes bowling. He'll bet on the surefire bets like high-stakes curling or high-stakes figure skating, what the real men are betting on. The Prodigy, BJ Penn, is set to take on Dennis Siver after the UFC's investigation was concluded and no formal charges were filed. Former BJPenn.com editor Pedro Carrasco is accusing BJ Penn of sexually assaulting his girlfriend, and again, accusing allegedly no charges have been filed. The police, to serve and protect, the police have said, we do not have the evidence to file charges against Mr. Baby J. Penn. So these are allegations. Now, BJ Penn is saying, in his own defense, that Carrasco is trying to extort him. It's all a part of an extortion scheme because Carrasco was fired from BJPenn.com for being unethical. Now, in the world of MMA journalism, unethical could mean a whole host of things. He could be plagiarizing. He could be citing sources that never really talked to him. He could just be out and out lying. We don't know. Now, BJ Penn is coming out of retirement. He's training with Jackson Wink MMA. He is going to be making a run for the featherweight championship. And the road begins with Dennis Siver. And I'm going to be really interested to see BJ Penn fight Dennis Siver because BJ Penn was lightweight champion, but now he's going for featherweight. BJ Penn is a smaller, slender guy where Dennis Siver is very sturdy. He's powerful. He's got power in those limbs. I want to see how BJ Penn pulls off the submission. I have every confidence that he can do it, but I want to see how it goes. Of course, CageNationTV.com is going to be following the Pedro Carrasco versus BJ Penn allegations closely, and we'll let you know what we come up with. Manny Pacquiao is retiring. Manny Pacquiao had a high-profile fight against Tim Bradley, which Pacquiao won. And after the fight, Pacquiao has said he was 50-50 on the decision to retire, but he's going to retire. He feels that it's his calling in life to retire now, and he's going to be retiring as one of the most dominant boxers and one of the most dominant finishers in the sport. Now, with that being said, Manny Pacquiao, I really, really hope that your retirement is as peaceful and as rewarding as you want it to be. I hope your golden years are as calm and rewarding as they possibly can be. But with Manny Pacquiao recently coming under social fire for comments that were made, does it kind of tarnish his retirement reputation? I mean, does it look like he's ducking out now with his tail between his legs? A couple weeks ago, I kind of got hot under the collar about Manny Pacquiao's statements because he's a leader of people. He is a politician. He creates policy and legislation and to have the hate mentality, that's not okay, my boy. But as an athlete, Manny Pacquiao should be celebrated. As a human being, as a leader, well, that's up to his constituents to figure out. Did they want him back in office? We don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been my time. Again, make sure you check out CageNationTV.com, where the Friday 5, we're counting down Shudo and the 5 reasons why they weren't really MMA. Be sure to join us next week, where we're going to be talking about World of Combat Sports. I'm not really sure. I like to kind of do it on the fly. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, fights, Cameron, action. Thank you for tuning in to the Cage Nation Prizefight Podcast, all rights reserved, 2015-2016 Planetary Sports. The Prizefight Podcast is part of the Cage Nation Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.cagenationtv.com.